Losing a spouse can be an isolating and frightening experience. This weekend, there's an event happening that's geared to helping people deal with their grief. It's called Camp Widow. It's a unique experience where men and women come together to meet others trying to rebuild their lives. Joining us now is a speaker at Camp Widow, Karen Sullivan. She's the author of Bitter or Better: Life on the Op-Ed Page. Welcome to Daytime, Karen. Good to have you here.
Thanks. Thank you for having me.
So you didn't want to become a member of this widow club, but it happened to you. How long ago did that happen?
It happened December 15th of 2009, so 10 days before Christmas.
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's no good time, but that's
Right.
it's compounded by everything that's going on.
Right.
And not only did you lose your husband, but you've faced some major challenges in your life with your kids. Tell us a little bit about them.
Well, I lost my mother on December 28th, so December is just kind of a rough month. But yeah, so I've got a blended family, 2 older kids, and then I have a son who's now 25 who is on the autism spectrum. He's a high-functioning young man, but he still has his challenges and his needs. And then I have a daughter who is now 23. Who required a bone marrow transplant when she had just turned 11 for an extremely rare disease that typically afflicts adults. It's called PNH. It's a blood disorder. But we were blessed, and her brother, my son with autism, was her donor. He was a perfectly matched donor. So she just celebrated her 23rd birthday, and everyone's a gift.
Life has dealt you some pretty rotten hands, but look at you. You're not huddled in a corner rocking yourself to sleep. I mean, you are highly functioning. You've written this book. Tell us a little bit about the message in the book and how you've been able to overcome all of that, to thrive.
Well, I'll tell you how I got to the title of the book, which is Bitter or Better. I had lost my husband on the 15th of December, and then actually on my daughter's 16th birthday, a dear friend who had helped me to navigate all of this lost her husband while he had gone down to work out on a treadmill, just as my husband had left the health club. So it's kind of crazy that these guys who are trying to stay fit lose their lives because their hearts fail them. So my dear friend Ann was like my sister in grief. And about 4 months after I'd lost my husband, we were invited to a social function at the high school that our boys had attended. And I was introduced to another guest who happened to be a priest. And I hadn't been out in public much, and I'd had a couple of glasses of wine, and I sat down with Father Johnson and sort of poured out so much of what had gone on because I'd had 2 completely different and equally intense things happen, Cindy. One was I was in Maryland visiting my brother when my husband died, and so when I returned home, there were people everywhere in my house, and they had brought food, and they had brought mats for the floor to cover it because we had so much traffic. A cousin brought a huge pack of toilet paper because you can't have all these people in your house and run out of toilet paper, right? And they had done so much for me. And I was so grateful for that. But then there were the people who had disappeared or been uncooperative with some financial things I was trying to get my arms around, or said some really hurtful things. And I was struggling with that, as well as the fact that my husband was like the cool dad, the cool neighbor, the guy who lit up the room every time. Everybody loved him. People didn't pay that much attention to me, but they loved Ted. And so it's like, why him? And I had gone through breast cancer treatment, and I was like, why did he die and I live? So I was really struggling with some of that survivor guilt as well. And Father Johnson took a breath, and he looked at me and he said, Karen, I can't answer those questions, but I can tell you that in the face of adversity, we all have a choice. We can be bitter or we can be better. And that was the most powerful gift that I've ever been given. I call it my North Star. And it's the framework within which I look at everything from the smallest of crises to the biggest quandaries in my life now. And I've come to believe that I could have only gone through all of this stuff in my life for some purpose and some reason, and I believe that's to help other people navigate it. And so that's what I'm doing now through the book, and I have a blog called Gifts, Gratitude, and Gumption, and I do speaking, and I try to share the lessons that I've learned personally, but also through people whose stories I've shared as a writer.
Well, it's definitely needed, I think, not only for people who've been through what you've been through, but who've been through anything that's tough in life. So, Karen Sullivan, thank you.
Thank you for the invitation.
Camp Widow is happening Friday through Sunday at the Tampa Marriott Waterside. We'll be right back.